So I finally sat through 2 hours of Putin and Tucker Carlson talking on public TV, and I must say it wasn't boring to me.
Are we having a talk show or a serious conversation?
Here's the quote. Thank you.
So I'm going to be showing in this video some excerpts and summaries and what I think of that interview. Let's get to it. I really like how Putin started the interview. He took his time, a lot of time actually, about 30 minutes to explain the history and the relationship between Russia and Ukraine, which I think he did an amazing job. But to us on the channel, I don't think this is new information. Previously, I brought a video showing how Russia became so big, and the video explained all the things Putin said. So according to that part in relation to the video we had seen, I would say it's true. And also he was stating the timestamps and was willing to share information to Tucker Carlson so he can go do his own research and see for himself. And why he was going into this explanation was to state that the relationship between Russia and Ukraine and also the eastern part of Ukraine, it kind of points to the fact that the people living in the eastern part of Ukraine are ethnic Russians, and he was going there to save the people. Let me know what you think about that. That's just a brief summary of where I think he was heading to when he was stating that, but then he said a bunch more which made a lot of sense to me. Following this point, previously we had seen a video by Lavrov, who is the foreign minister of Russia. He said the same thing, that Russia has no intention of invading any European countries. Particularly, he stated that the West nations are using this propaganda to fuel and continue the war in Ukraine. He said if they stopped this, then people would know the truth and they wouldn't accept them funding the war. So they keep saying Russia is invading Ukraine, and then they'll move on to invade other parts of Europe. But this is not the intention of Russia. So Russians and Putin himself said that is not the intention. Let me know what you think about that. I'll let you hear Putin's precise comments when he was asked if he would invade Poland. Listen.
Can you imagine a scenario where you sent Russian troops to Poland?
Only in one case, if Poland attacks Russia. Why? Because we have no interest in Poland, Latvia, or anywhere else. Why would we do that? We simply don't have any interest. It's just threat-mongering.
Before I even continue the video, I just want to ask, why were so many people concerned about Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin? I mean, every journalist should want to talk to Putin at this point. But then they were saying Tucker Carlson is going to Russia to spread propaganda. It now feels like every information coming out of Russia is propaganda.
There's been a lot of controversy surrounding President Zelensky's visit here, and now we've heard Vladimir Putin use some of that embarrassment in an interview with Tucker Carlson. How does it feel to know that that visit and your office's role in inviting a former Nazi to a reception is creating hardship for an ally?
Vladimir Putin chose to invade a neighboring sovereign country, violating the rights, the sovereignty, the territorial integrity of Ukraine, and violating the rules-based order that underpins the safety, the security of all of us living in democracy, in free democracies around the world. He will, of course, use whatever propaganda he can engage in, but I can tell you, Canadians will not be fooled. Canada stands with Ukraine, not just because we are friends to Ukraine, but because the rules-based order and the system of laws and the UN Charter protect all of us, not just Ukrainians. So we will continue to be there with Ukraine for as much as it takes, for as long as it takes. Unfortunately, we see the lengths to which Russian propaganda will go to try and impact public opinion, to try and twist things the way we want to.
Well, we still watched it anyways. We still watched the interview, and I'm glad X kept the interview, YouTube kept the interview, and you can also find the interview on tuckercarlson.com. Now, to the very interesting one a lot of people were very concerned about hearing. Putin was asked who blew up Nord Stream, and his response was you need to look for who is capable and who is interested. The CIA came up in the conversation. The CIA came up in that conversation. Let me know what you think about that. I'm not going to speculate. I'll let you see the video for yourself.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
У вас лично, может быть, есть алиби, у вас лично.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
Вы знаете,
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But in this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities. Because there may be many people interested, but not all of them are capable of sinking to the bottom of the Baltic Sea and carrying out this explosion. These two components should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
Now, the question I really wanted to see in this interview, but I don't think it was asked, or did I sleep while it was asked? But I wanted Tucker Carlson to ask Putin, what do you think about LGBTQ and the family structure in the Western communities? I would have loved to hear Putin respond to that, but I don't think it was asked. Anyways, moving on, Tucker Carlson asked a very interesting question about Christianity and Putin's religion, and I might not structure it the same way Tucker Carlson did, but he said, if Putin as a Christian or being a Christian was accused of killing, what would Putin say? And in Putin's response, he said, I'm not killing, I'm protecting my people and my territory. Something like that, something in that light. How would you respond to that? Do you think that is an agreeable response? Share your thoughts. A very captivating topic that came up in the interview was de-dollarization. Last year, this topic was trending on TikTok, and people that have no idea about de-dollarization were speaking about it. And Putin was asked, or he wasn't asked, he used it to explain a point, how America self-inflicted de-dollarization on themselves. And this came as a result of the sanctions that imposed on Russia and on other countries. He said the yuan and transactions they've done in the yuan has increased to about 30%. Transactions in the rubles have increased to about, I think, 30 or 37%, he has stated. And the increments in these transactions means, or the increment in the transactions done in this currency mean the decrease in, using the dollar. And that's how de-dollarization came about. Let me know what you think about that. So again, he's saying Biden and his administration self-inflicted de-dollarization on themselves, and Russia did not cause this. And President Ruto, William Ruto of Kenya, was asked about this as well when he visited India. He said something very interesting. He was asked about de-dollarization, and he said his interest is not to diminish the American US dollar, but the interest is to increase or to make his own currency or a national currency and have sufficient power for transactions. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he meant as well, because people often think that de-dollarization comes as a target on the US currency, or people hate the US currency, but that's not often the case. It's a matter of we want our own currency to be useful in international trades, so we'd rather use ours. And, prior to this, the US currency was being used, which means the more we use our currency, the less we use the US currency. I don't know if this explains the dollarization to you. It's not a target on the US currency. That's what I'm saying. Now, after watching the interview, YouTube kept recommending some other videos for me, like from BBC and from DW News. And it seems a lot of the media, maybe the left-wing media, I'm not particularly sure, but they don't seem to like this interview at all. After people heard this, I'm not saying what Putin said is true or false, but at least listen and have a perspective. But people seem to have shut their minds away from everything Putin has to say. It's assumed at this point that everything the man said is propaganda, or everything he has to say, has said, and will say is going to be propaganda. And people don't even want to hear it at all, which is quite interesting to me. Now, I'll say it this way. I think somebody was quoting Chris Rock in a video I just saw on TikTok. Yeah, somebody was quoting Chris Rock. He said, if somebody stole 7 times, don't say he stole 8 times. My point is, if you're accusing Putin of doing everything, when he actually does something, or the ones he might have done, we wouldn't know. So why wouldn't you keep an open mind and also do not accuse him of everything? Because it's kind of like what they're doing to Trump. Trump did everything. Trump has done so much. and now we don't know what he actually did. They're saying the same thing about Putin. Putin has done everything. He has done so much, and we don't know what he has actually done. And when you ask questions about this, they're quick to shut you down and call you a propagandist. I had to take down a bunch of videos from my channel. You know why? Because people kept reporting my videos. Somebody came to my Instagram and wrote, "The blood of Ukrainians are on your head." I'm like, what did I say? I just advocated for a dialogue between Russia and Ukraine. Won't anybody want that, or do you want them to keep fighting? What is the likelihood of Ukraine winning Russia in the war? I don't know. But from what we are hearing, it doesn't look very good. So why won't you advocate for a dialogue so this can end and people can stop dying? Well, let me know what you think about that. I'm going to end the video right there. It was a very long interview. I'm going to come up with a part 2 of this video so we can talk about a lot more, because it was a long video. I just watched it. I just finished watching it. I started last night, finished it this morning, and I thought, now that it's hot, I should, make a content about it. Then I'm going to sit down, digest, write down, make notes, and then I'll share everything with you again. And there's going to be the part 2, which is going to be the more comprehensive one. Anyways, it was an exciting discussion to have. Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts. Talk to me about what you think of the interview. If you still think I'm a propagandist or Putin or anything that comes out of Russia is propaganda, talk to us in the comment section. If you believe the West and the left media 100%, also share it in the comment section. But also don't come to the comment section and trying to fry us. Come with your points to back yourself up. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I made this bet on my own, bet on my own, bet on my